Tasha Yar needs Lieutenant Worf's help with the Mishima wrist lock and break. Tasha Yar will defeat Science Officer Swenson easily, and Tasha Yar is favored to win the martial arts competition in the ship's pool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton, and guess who? Tasha Yar, DENISE CROSBY.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation, episode 22 of season 1, entitled Skin of Evil. You know that one. Story by Joseph Stefano, teleplay by Joseph Stefano, and Hannah Louise Shear, directed by Joseph J. Scanlon. This was April 23rd, 1988. Very special thanks to Grandpa One for sponsoring this entire first season. Thank you, Grandpa One. And real quick, we mentioned Hannah Louise Shear. Denise, what is up with this picture right here? It's a picture of you and Hannah.
Hannah Louise Shear. Okay, this is crazy. So last Friday, I was joining the Writers Guild strike picket line in front of Paramount. And it was a kind of call to action for anyone and everyone involved in Star Trek. So a lot of actors, you were there, Cirroc, weren't you?
I did go.
Yeah, I missed
you too, but I did see the people that are out there.
I was looking. So, a lot of actors, a lot of writers, a lot of showrunners from all the Star Treks. Every single one was represented. So it was great. And so I'm walking, I stayed about 3 hours, just circling down Melrose to Bronson, back to Gower, walking. So I was just walking alone, and I see a woman sort of taking a pause on a bus bench. And as you can see on the strike sign, it says WGA on strike, but then it's a nice big space. You can write whatever you want. And they're writers, so they're getting really clever with some of the stuff they write. Yeah. So I read on her sign, I killed Tasha Yar. Beware AMTP, the board that is negotiating against the writers. Mm-hmm. So I killed Tasha Yar. I read this. I stop in my tracks and I said, I played Tasha Yar. And the woman jumps up and she goes, "It's Hannah Louise Shear." And I went, oh my God, what are the odds? So we're hugging each other, and we haven't seen each other since the episode. And John Billingsley happened to be walking by, and he goes, oh my God, I have to take a picture of this. Yes. So John took the pictures and sent them to me. And, it was just delightful to see her. And here's the interesting thing. She reminded me of something I said to her when we shot the episode. She said, I've never forgotten this. You said, if all of the episodes had been written this well in that speech that I give, in the hologram, the death speech, I said, if this had only been the level of writing, I never would have left the show. Mm. And she reminded me of that. And I said, wow. And I said, and you know what? It is true. It is exactly true.
I actually thought of the two of you when I thought of you when I saw that scene. I thought of like how it affected you, Denise, and Cirroc, since it's your first time even seeing or even knowing that scene existed. I was wondering how the two of you reacted to that, because I thought it was really good. I remembered it vaguely, but I thought it was beautiful.
It was, what happens with me as an actor, when I can easily grasp the material and memorize it quickly, and it comes sort of flowing out of me, that's when the writing is good. When you're struggling to like glue it and stick it, memorize it and stuff, you're fighting. That take I did in one take, that speech. Now, it they Joe Scanlon, the director, did something really smart, and that the camera came on me last. So we shot everybody's close up in that direction first. So I had all that time to say that speech over and over, because it was first, on Riker, and then Troy, and then, so each one of them had their own take, which was great, really, because smart. I couldn't get through it without tearing up the first time. I had I was saying goodbye, and it was so close to home, about the way I felt with each one of those people. It was like Hannah was channeling my inner being, writing that, because it was astounding how close it was to what what Denise would actually say to each one of those people saying goodbye. So it was really extraordinary. And, it was a very difficult scene to shoot, very, very difficult to shoot that, so by the time the camera came on me, I was composed. I could deliver it without, getting teary, which of course Tasha wouldn't have, she wouldn't be teary when she's making that.
That conversation you had with Hannah about, how you felt about the writing and how it would have convinced you maybe to stay if they were writing that good for you. And I think you've said that now as we've watched these last couple of episodes. I think the writing got better once you had the discussion that at some point when you wanted to leave and you made the announcement. Then they started writing really good for you.
Yeah, it's weird, huh? I was not aware of that until watching it, but it does seem that to be true. That seems to be true.
And like the last few episodes have gotten better and better as far as developing your character, including you on things, having you make decisions. It's like, why didn't you start off like this? And I would have had a better time. I wouldn't have to struggle so much with what do you want from me,
right?
But yeah, so when you watch this episode, one of the things that really jumped out at me was the scene between you and Worf in the beginning, where I felt a camaraderie there that they never explored to this degree.
Exactly. You're right.
And the smile that you gave him when you said, oh, you bet on me, when you found out that he bet on you. And he says, a sure thing, I was thinking, this is what we love about Star Trek, is these kinds of, relationships. And I wish we could have gotten more of this conversation between Worf and Todd. That's your security team. That would be your closest person to, to have conversations with logically. So we should have seen a lot more of that. Throughout this year.
Yes. You could have just think of the opportunities, whether in the holodeck, whether we're training. Obviously, they've got to be training differently than anyone else on the ship. And the friendship or the romance or wherever you want to take it that builds out of this. She says in her final monologue, she says, Worf, you and I are so much alike. Well, you want to see that. You don't see any of that throughout the whole season. Just me saying it. You want to show, not tell.
Right.
So it. I know, you're right.
Yeah, and I did like that line. I wrote that line down as well. I love the way it was delivered. You actually went into detail about why you guys were alike. I think you said something to the effect of, we both grew up as orphans, but found each other as family, or something to that effect. And it's like, oh wow, you gave backstory on where you came from and how it molded you. You talked about Starfleet giving you hope and it being the outlet for you, the thing that kind of saved
Yeah,
you in some degree. You talked,
absolutely. Took
yeah,
this
you talked about a
angry.
father figure that Picard was to you, and how Riker treated you. I mean, so much stuff I would have loved to have
I know. I know.
earlier, and then we could, and
Examples.
then we would have known this
That's
going
right.
along.
That's right.
How you guys feel about each other,
Right. Or even when Tasha talks to Troy and says, you taught me how to be, feminine and not
Mhm.
give up anything, not lose anything. Well, you never see us interact at all.
Exactly. I thought that was actually a beautiful line and a beautiful point and a beautiful perspective.
Right.
And I was like, would have been great if we'd seen that.
Right.
We would have, and the
Exactly.
with you and Worf, I think, what makes Star Trek, one of the things that makes it so great are the interpersonal relationships. That's what we love so much. Those are the moments we remember more than any alien, more than any scientific breakthrough or whatever. And I think it suffered from having one or two too many, new character of the week kind of thing. You know what I mean? And if they took out a couple of those and had more interpersonal struggles, and then you can, see the dynamic of Worf and Tasha Yar, and you could have Geordi talking with Data a little bit more, start building those, would have given us a lot more by now.
I think that's a great point, Ryan. They did 26 episodes per season. So, they go and visit 18 alien planets out of the 26. And those remaining 8 episodes interspersed where it's all within that crew and those families on that ship. They don't, what do they do when they're not on the way to or landing on an away team mission, Absolutely.
Yeah, and because they didn't show us some of those things beforehand, it makes you wonder, like, oh well, I wish I knew all of that. Because when Troy was crying over over those words you were saying, I'm thinking, did I ever see them together in a scene? Like,
Yeah.
I was trying to think, how many scenes have I seen Tasha and Troy talking about anything other than you know, Shields Up or something like that. Nothing
Yeah.
really deep.
No, never away, like grabbing a drink or having a meal or,
And we love that stuff. Star Trek fans love to see, like, they don't all have
I
to
would have
be
loved.
Alien of the Week.
I would, yeah. I would have loved if Yara was like, "Hey, so what's up with you and Riker? Like, I
Yeah,
don't get
right?
it. Like,
Yes.
yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, I don't get it. Last week he was,
He was with that woman and down
yeah,
on,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Troy says,
Thesaurus
well, what's
3
up with you and Data?
yeah, right.
And then I did notice in your monologue
Yeah.
at the end, you're like, and Data, my friend. I was like, damn, he got friend zoned all the way to the end, man. She didn't even say my special friend.
Well, you
I was
know
like,
what?
poor
I'll
Data.
tell you something about that scene. I threw in, they obviously didn't use it in the final cut, but when I addressed Data, I went, and Data, it did happen.
Oh, and they took that out.
They didn't.
Oh.
I asked, can I do it? I asked Rick Berman. He said, no. I did it anyway.
That would have been so cool because you did say in episode 2 or whatever it was, you said it never happened. And it would have been such a nice bow tie, a nice little bow on it to close it out.
That's why I did it. That's,
because this is the orgasm we're talking about?
The 3 speeds.
That's not the orgasm. We're not talking about the orgasm.
Okay. The naked now.
No, I know. I know what
yes.
I'm playing. I knew
it's the android orgasm.
Yeah. That would have been great if they kept that. That was brilliant.
That would have been great. Yeah.
I know.
That would have been great.
I know.
Actually, that was one of my beefs with the episode, to be honest with you. I would have liked them to spend more time on Tasha and spending more time kind of mourning and going through that conversation. I enjoyed that conversation more than I enjoyed the whole other rest of the storyline.
Yep, I
Almost.
totally agree. And I haven't seen it in all this time, so I forgot. But yeah, it happens in the very end, her death, and then nothing till the end. Now they set it up that there's an urgency to get this crew, but it felt really odd to me that no one was dealing with that. No one's dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going
like somebody, one of the crew members that were like, let's get the hell out of here. There was the urgency was so, it was just weird. I couldn't find where the priority was. At some point, everybody was putting themselves at risk, even when the captain comes at the end. And I'm like, is it like, what are we risking everything for exactly? Is it because Troy's stuck in there? Like, can't we figure that out scientifically from the ship and figure out, ways to figure that out from the ship? Do we have to actually put everybody's life in jeopardy?
Absolutely.
I thought that
it made no sense, because that's ultimately what they did do. They did
for way too long of a period too. Like 40 minutes of the episode was this thing. You die relatively early in the episode, and the morning doesn't start till 20 minutes after.
Well, or
at least, or maybe even more, 30 minutes after of playing time. But I just didn't see. Like I said, this is how I would have wrote it. No knock on them. I know what they were, they're trying to accomplish. But the way I would have structured the episode, the writing, the topic was fine. The subject could have stayed the same. I would have just changed the focal point. Instead of it being so much about this thing, it kind of swamp thing type creature coming out of the oil, I would have had it been more about celebrating who Tasha Yar was to the crew. And then I would have had it kind of go down that way. So the bulk of the episode would have been the reminiscing on Tasha.
Absolutely. The effect, I agree. And I don't say that just, for my benefit. It really is an oddly structured episode. And this Armis thing gets very tiring. I think one more time coming out of that thing and that voice, and sometimes I couldn't understand what it was saying, and it was just not compelling.
It wasn't compelling and wasn't even logical. Like, this pure evil thing was having way too much of a rational discussion with Troy about its own evilness. And I don't, something that's that unhinged doesn't even spend the time to rationalize how unhinged it is. It's like a crazy person evaluating how crazy they are.
Yeah.
It's like, it just doesn't happen. You're crazy. You just, don't think about it. You don't say, I wonder where the origin of this craziness comes from. You just go around and break stuff. So I just didn't get that part. I didn't get the logic of the oily thing. And I would have liked to see this episode have other elements play out when it comes to Tasha Yar. I would have liked, for example, instead of Tasha having this hologram prepared speech to say to each person, I would have liked these things to have been in journal entries, private journal entries. And the captain having access to these private journal entries after she passed away, and sharing them with, bringing in people and saying, I think Tasha would like you to hear this. And it's a private thing more so, not like directly data. This is how I feel about you. More so like, reading her diary almost,
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing. And even if you had the episode was about like flashback scenes interacting with each,
Right.
like moments.
Oh, that's a fun
that
idea.
they would reflect on. Everybody could see the whole episode would be stacked up like that, so that this loving crew member, this emptiness without her, as they're stating at the end. You would see these moments of her, filling this space and having, this, why she will be so missed.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just, this immediate random death and then the hologram.
Thank you. And not only that, but I would use the fact that the impact of her death affected these people on the crew so much, Data and Riker and Troy, and we see how it moves them, that then this Aramis skin of evil thing removes its skin of evil, like it actually becomes something else. And
they just left him there. I was like,
right.
oh no,
literally.
That's a surprise twist. I thought they would have pitied him in some way and said, oh, wow, you were created from these selfish titans. You were abandoned. Now you're bitter. We understand you suck, but we still have pity on you. Even Data said, no redeeming qualities. Like, damn, that's ruthless.
Right.
Yeah. So there was no solution to that, to the quote unquote A storyline. So why not have the impact of the loss of Yar make such impact that it makes Aramis reflect on his own evil and maybe transforms or removes that thing that he's imprisoned in. Maybe that thing is a prison of some sort, and there's a normal human being underneath all of that oily, slick stuff that has been trapped by this evil. There was no solution to that.
Right.
Yeah. They just said, we'll leave you here. They didn't even kill it or destroy it. It was just like,
they can't.
All right.
Yeah.
They're just like, all right, we got Troy. We're out of here. Good luck. And then they even said, we're going to make it off limits for the rest of the Federation. So nobody's going to go there to save him. They're not going to go see what they can do. They're just like, all right, we are never coming back here. So long, sucker.
For all eternity, that thing is going to be there.
Yeah, I would have liked more focal, more energy focused on Tasha. I think it could have been a full out Tasha episode. We could have had flashbacks, voiceover of her diary entries, just like a real kind of unraveling of an homage, and then we're like, oh wow, this person was so amazing, and everybody kind of remember on things, and because this oil character served its purpose once it killed you.
Yeah,
there was nothing left because there's no growth in that character. It's not going to learn a lesson.
Right, there was no mystery come to a resolution. Solved.
Right.
Yeah, right. It didn't learn a lesson. Didn't come to a negotiation. It didn't make a truce. There was no resolution. It was just like and it was really like they say random acts of kindness. It was random acts of violence because it didn't even it wasn't even sensical. Like it would kill somebody and brought Riker back. So if it had the power to do that, it had the power to do almost anything. It could have brought Tasha back. Enough. It wasn't even enough negotiation to bring Tasha back.
Yeah,
right?
And how about like when Card beams in and then he dissolves right into the shuttlecraft? He has the power to do that. He's not even using a transporter.
Right.
I noticed that too.
What the hell is that thing? What just happened?
He's magic. Well, what I put in my notes too was that he's super childish. Like it wasn't just like he's evil or scary, but he was like, who cares? Oh, your friends are here. But he acted like super childish. And I hadn't remembered that. Yeah. Well, actually, let's take a super quick break, everybody, where we're going to act childish for a few minutes. and then we'll come right back and be super adult.
Aren't we always?
We'll be right back on The Seventh Rule.